Hey yo, what is up, everybody? Coach Chad here, the CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy and the creator of the Assistant Coach Academy. I hope you guys are doing flipping fantastic. All right. So, what we're going to be talking about today, I'm just pulling up my notes. Just give me like 2 seconds. I'm going to drag this over here, put this here, talking to myself. All right. We ready to rock. We ready to rock. All right. So what we're going to be talking about today is I'm going to give you guys a strategy. Now, NLCA has been doing this strategy for the better part, I would say, pretty much a year now. And what we've noticed is since instituting this strategy, it has helped increase our closing percentage by 10 whopping percent. All right. So if you are interested in increasing your closing percentage by 10 whopping percent, then I would definitely listen to this. I'm also going to link up a resource in the show notes of this podcast that outlines exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So you can listen without the pressure of taking notes. If you want to take notes, you want to be a go-getter, go ahead, do it. But I already took the notes for you, and that's going to be inside of the show notes. All right. Oop, just had a little thought pop up in my head. Hold on, I got to type this down. All right, sweet. Okay. So what the hell am I talking about? How are we going to increase your closing rate by 10%? And first of all, increasing your closing rate, if you're kind of like Chad, 10% isn't that much. Let me tell you, that is a fuck ton. All right, that is literally a fuck ton, right? If you want to increase your closing percentage by 10%, I'm just going to make some ballpark math really quick. All right, so let's say you have 100 calls booked in a month. Let's say 80 show. All right, let's say that your closing percentage right now is 30%. All right, so out of the 80, you multiply that by 0.3. That means that you close 24. Let's just see 80 times 0.4, 40%. That's 32. Right. So right off the bat, that's 8 additional closes. If your package is $2,000, that's an additional $16,000 that you're missing out on just by increasing your closing percentage by 10%. Right. So that's just obviously I just pulled that out of my ass, but you can go back and you can see, like, if you track all your data, you could just increase your closing percentage last month by 10% and see how many additional clients that gets you and how much additional revenue that brings your business. So 10% is massive, 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 massive in the terms of growing your business. All right. So enough talking. Let's get into it. Okay. So what is it? What am I even talking about here? What I'm talking about is creating a client ambassador program. All right. So I'm going to break down why. I'm going to break down how to do that. I'm going to break down when to use it. I'm going to break down exactly how to use it, how to compensate a client ambassador. Excuse me. Wow. I'm drinking right now. Shout out Cured Nutrition. I'm drinking one of their energy drinks right now. It's got CBD, mushroom, and vitamin D in it, and it's a little carbonated, so it made me burp. But these are great. The CEO of Cured is actually speaking at NLCA Live, which is coming up here in April. Man, I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but we have a stellar lineup. Jordan Sayat is speaking at NLCA Live this year. If you guys don't know what NLCA Live is, I'm gonna plug it really quickly. It's a 2-day live event that we have down here in Austin. It's in Hotel Van Zant, which is right on Rainy Street in Austin, which is one of the most fun streets. If you've never been to Austin, Rainy Street is one of the most fun streets that that you can go to in Austin, Texas. So it's literally right on Rainy Street. Yeah, we have a massive packed lineup. One of our big headliners speaking is Jordan Sayat. Can't speak today. Jordan Sayat, and we're also gonna have an after party. I already got the DJ for the after party. It's gonna be for my headbangers. All right, so it's definitely gonna be more of a hardcore EDM after party, but it's gonna be tons of fun, and I'm very, very excited for it. If you guys want tickets for that, I'm actually gonna put the website in the show notes as well. Let me not forget to do that. NLCA Live website. Cool. I don't know about y'all, but my brain works so fast that like I have to write these things down or I know I'm going to forget. All right. So enough tangents. This is ADHD, Chad, but let's dive into it. All right. So what exactly is a client ambassador program? So a client ambassador program is where you find your raving fan clients. The ones who would literally sell for you for absolute free. Not that they're going to sell for you for free, but the ones that would, right? The ones that care and love your program so much because you have changed their life and impacted their life so much that if you told them, hey, can you go out and speak to 100 people today and just preach to the gospel about how amazing our program is, they would do it without batting an eye or questioning. All right. That is what we're looking for here. We're looking for about 5 of those individuals. And what those individuals are going to help you do is they're going to help you get people who are quote unquote on the fence about joining your program into your program. All right. So that's why you want to create a client ambassador program, is because these raving fan clients, they've gotten amazing results and they're like, why wouldn't you do this program? And if you get that individual on the phone with an individual who's questioning joining the program, then then your ambassador is for sure going to push that individual over the edge, which is an additional close for the company. All right. So that's why you want to create a client ambassador program. Excuse me. All right, let's talk about how to create a client ambassador program. All right, so step 1, you're going to find 5 or so of your top raving fan clients. All right, this really depends on how big your client base is. It could be 1 individual, it could be 2 individuals, it could be 3. I think 5 is if you have a lot of clients, 5 is a large number. If you have lesser amount of clients, you're probably looking at 1 to 3 ambassadors. If you have a larger client base, you're probably looking at 5 ambassadors. All right, number 2. What you're going to do is once you write down the names of like this person, you're going to reach out to them and ask if they want to be a client ambassador. You're going to explain to them what they are going to do, why this is important for the company, and how they're going to change people's lives, and lastly, what they get in return. And in this podcast, I'm going to answer all those questions, right? I'm going to tell you what they do. I already told you why it's important. I'm also going to tell you what they get compensated. All right, number 3, you're going to send, once they say, yes, I'm all for this, you're going to send them a client ambassador 1099 contract. All right, so these individuals will actually be 1099s on payroll. All right. So inside of the resource that I linked up in the show notes, I give you an example 1099 ambassador contract. I say this, please, please, please have your lawyer read over that. Don't just take that for what it is. This is just a template, right? This is just something to get you started, right? But bring it to a lawyer, have them read through it, make it yours, right? Edit it so it's your business's, but I'll give you the contract so at least you have an understanding of what it's going to look like. All right, once they sign the contract, if you use Gusto to pay out your contractors, add them into Gusto. If not, if you use PayPal, that's totally fine. Just get their PayPal address so that when it comes time to pay them out, you can. All right, so that's step number 3, is handling all the boring legal stuff. All right, number 4, what you want to do is you want to create a client ambassador WhatsApp chat, or if you don't use WhatsApp, it could be text, it could be Slack, whatever communication line you use. All right. Now, if you have people that take sales calls for you, also add them into that group chat. And if you have a VA, also add them into that group chat. I'll explain that in a little bit, but if you are the person taking sales calls and you are the individual who does all of your VA admin stuff, then you don't need to worry about that. Okay, so when should you use a client ambassador? 2 scenarios. Okay, so when should you use it? 2 scenarios. Number 1, you can use it at the end of your sales call. All right, so you or your closing team can use this at the end of their sales call, right? You get to the end of the sales call, you do all the objection handling, and you just can't get them over the hump. All right, so don't just let this be your default. Like, go through all the objection handling. If you can't get them over the hump, this is the last ditch effort. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, look, I know you want this. We want you in the program. Would it be helpful if you just got a different perspective and had a chance to talk with one of our students? If they say yes, I'll go over the steps here in a minute on what to do next. But that's when to use it in a closing scenario. The second time that you can use it is in the DMs. So if you are having a hard time getting somebody booked for a sales consult because they don't trust you, or they're kind of like, what is this? You can also ask them, hey, prior to getting on any sort of sales call with us, would it be beneficial if you just spoke with one of our clients in a non-sales setting where you could just have a conversation and see what this is all about? If they say yes, then you set them up with the ambassador, then you book the call. Okay. So those are the 2 scenarios that you can use this. You can use this in the DMs to get calls booked, or you can use this at the end of sales calls to get leads over the hump. Let me take a quick sip of this. All right. Okay, so let's go over the specifics. What is the SOP? How exactly do you use this step by step? Okay, so like I said, if you have closers or people taking sales calls for you, this is what they're going to do. If you are the closer, meaning you are taking your own sales calls, which I would imagine is a large majority of the people listening to this, then this is what you are going to do. Okay. So when a closer would like to use an ambassador to speak with a prospect, the closer is going to message, or you, right? I'm going to say closer, but if you're the closer, just know this is you. You're going to go into the ambassador WhatsApp chat or whatever group chat you're using. You're going to outline the situation of the prospect. All right. So you're going to outline the situation of the prospect. You're going to say, all right, just got off the phone with so-and-so. This is what they're struggling with. Who would like to volunteer to take this call? All right. Who would like to volunteer to take this call? So the ambassador is going to volunteer and say, hey, I feel like I align with this prospect's challenges. I personally would like to take this call. All right. The closer, which could be you, is then going to create a group text between the ambassador, the prospect, and themselves. All right. And what the closer or you is going to say is, hey, so-and-so, I know you said you wanted to speak with a student, meet so-and-so, she or he would love to chat. All right. And then it's the then it's the ambassador's responsibility to get them to set up a separate call outside of that group chat, an actual call to have a conversation with them about whatever it is that they want to have a conversation about. Okay. Once the ambassador gets off the call and they complete the call with that individual, they're going to message in the WhatsApp ambassador group chat and just say, hey, just spoke with so-and-so, conversation went XYZ, right? And they'll fill in how the conversation went. From there, once the ambassador says they have completed the call, they give you all the notes of the call. The closer is then going to reach back out, try to get them on a follow-up call, and close the deal. All right. So I have that all laid out step by step, but that's what that's going to look like. Okay. Now, what's the VA's role in this? Like, what does the back end look like? All right. So I'm gonna briefly go through this one because I think you need to see this one more visually and not auditory. But just knowing the resource, I have very step by step how this is going to look from the VA standpoint. How are we going to track this? All right. So just know there's a tracker. All right. And once an ambassador volunteers to speak with a prospect, a VA or yourself is going to enter in the ambassador's information into the tracking sheet. So it's going to say name of ambassador, volunteers to speak with person. They volunteer to speak with this person at blank date. How are they going to figure out that piece of information? Once the VA sees that the ambassador is volunteering to speak with this prospect, the VA is going to individually message the ambassador and ask when the time is that they are going to speak on the phone. The VA is then going to track that. All right. The VA is then going to check the ambassador's chat to see how the update went, right? To see how the call went, right? So when the ambassador goes back in the chat, says this is how the call went, the VA is going to wait for that message, update the tracker on the information on how the call went. All right. If this individual becomes a client, meaning when the closer reaches back out and tries to close them, the VA will also be notified there and say, all right, this individual closed. And then they're going to say, all right, this is when the ambassador gets their commission. All right. So there's a whole entire process. I provide you with a tracking sheet, but essentially that's the VA's role in this whole thing. All right. So that's what the SOP looks like. All right. The next question that you guys need answered is how to compensate, excuse me, how to compensate a client ambassador. All right. So there's two things that you're going to do. All right. So you're going to give them a cash incentive, and then you're going to make them feel exclusive. I'll get into that in a minute. All right. Couple more things I need to talk about before that. All right. So a client ambassador is compensated when they have done work. So when is this individual actually going to get the commission? So a client ambassador is going to get compensated when they've done work to help push this lead over the edge and the lead signs. So the ambassador is not going to get paid if they've, had a call with an individual and then that person doesn't sign. All right. They're only going to get paid if this individual actually becomes a client. All right. Work can be defined as taking a call or calls with the prospect, texting back and forth with the prospect, recording a video and sending it to the prospect, or anything that you deem to be reasonable as a reasonable thing that actually pushed this prospect over the edge. All right. An ambassador will not get double compensated if they took more than one call for a prospect. They will only get paid a certain amount if the prospect becomes a client, no matter how little or how much work they put in. Okay. If multiple ambassadors were used to close one prospect, then it's going to be a split commission, not double commission. So if let's say your commission is $50, all right. So if 2 people were used, those 2 ambassadors get $25 a piece, not $50 a piece. Why is that? Chad, that sounds cheap. Well, you have to look at the business margins here. And if you're already paying money for a DMer, I hope that reconnected. I literally just unplugged the mic. But you're already paying money for a DMer, a closer, assistant coaches. And if you're not paying for those roles yet, you will, and you have to project out into the future. All right. So you have to look at the business margin here. Okay, so what is the cash incentive? All right, so if you are charging industry standard, and industry standard nowadays is like $250 a month on the low end for like longer packages, like anywhere from 12 to 18 months, and then like $400 on the high end for shorter packages, like 3 months. If you're charging anywhere between $400 a month and $250 a month, then you're charging industry standard. Okay. So if you're charging industry standard, a client ambassador should be compensated between $25 and $50 per client they help close. All right. So per person that they put in work into to get that person to over the edge and close. All right. That's the cash incentive. So small, right? And that's why it's so important that you pick somebody who really just wants to do this because they love your program. All right. Here's the second reason somebody would sign up to be an ambassador with you is they get things that other clients don't, right? They are your top raving clients. They get exclusivity. All right. So what that looks like is in addition to cash compensation, you can also compensate your ambassadors with additional bonuses, like but not limited to a monthly group support call. This is what we do with our NLCA ambassadors is we get them on a monthly group support call, and I personally give them coaching on that monthly group support call. You can throw them additional monthly resources. You can throw them a swag pack, t-shirts, hats, things like that. You can give them free tickets to your live events. You can give them free monthly supplements, right? Here's a little note. Think of things that provide them with tons of value, make them feel exclusive, but don't cost the company an arm and a leg. Things that don't require the company money are the best, in my opinion, like the monthly group support call. This doesn't inherently cost the company money. It's just you giving up a little bit of your time, but it still gives them value, still makes them feel exclusive, right? So that's where you want your brain to be at. I don't want to charge an arm and a leg for all these additional things that I'm getting, but I still want to provide them a ton of value. Okay, when do ambassadors get paid? Ambassadors get paid on a biweekly basis. So if an ambassador's prospect closes between the 1st and the 14th, then they're going to get paid out for that individual on the 15th. If an ambassador's prospect closes between the 15th and the last day of the month, then they are going to get paid on the 1st of the following month. All right, so that's kind of how the sequence goes. Now I'm gonna throw in here. Personally, I would only pay out the ambassador if you at least get first month's pay. If you get anything under first month's pay, I would wait to pay them until you get first month's pay, and then whatever cycle that falls into, first and 14th or last day and the 1st, is when they would get paid next. All right, this last one is how to track a client ambassador program. Like I said, this would just be a complete mindfuck if I did this auditory. So I'm going to let you guys just go to the resource. The resource is in the show notes. It has a Google Sheets and a step-by-step SOP on what it looks like to actually track this process. All right. So shorter podcast, very powerful podcast. You guys have to create a client ambassador program. I promise you, by creating a client ambassador program, that you're going to increase your closing rate by 10% if you use it consistently. So that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.